Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards.
Welcome to another episode of Chattin with Chelsea. I'm your daytime bestie, Chelsea Edwards. Today's show is all about the fathers who are showing up. We've got a chief medical officer and single dad who is proving that leadership starts at home. We are also separating fact from fiction when it comes to fathers' rights in family courts. We've got an attorney here who has been all over Instagram letting us know what actually matters when it comes to custody.
You 5 minutes late to the pickup location, and your baby mama want to deny you possession and access of your kid. I can't stand a bit of baby mamas. Let me get you the game. If you cannot make it to the pickup location on time because of traffic or because you get out from work late and you do not have that likes to co-parent with you, honey, check your order. Because your order tells you that you are able to send a competent adult to pick up your child in your place. That means that you can send your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. Heck, you can even send your new girlfriend or boyfriend to pick up your kid in your place if you know you cannot make it in time.
Oh, welcome to Chattin with Chelsea, attorney Cherika Edwards, family and personal attorney at law. Do I need to say at law every time?
No, please don't. Please don't.
Please don't. So you've been dealing with these family cases for almost a decade now.
Almost a decade.
So you see a lot of the back and forth when it comes to custody battles. But you also get a unique perspective because so many of your clients are men.
That's correct. That's correct.
Like a lot.
Almost majority of them are men. Yes.
Okay. What is that like?
It's very different. It's a very different perspective. Like I said, the majority of my clientele are men, they're fathers. I feel like it's why I became an attorney. I searched for a long time as to like where my voice is in this space. And when I started representing fathers, it was very fulfilling. And I loved it, and it's just definitely a different perspective.
You found your niche.
I found my niche. That's it.
Yes.
And you say niche. I like to also say I found my passion.
Okay. Even
my
better.
passion. Yes.
So what is it about working with dads that makes you feel like, okay, this is where I need to be?
I think that the biggest thing for me is making them realize that they actually do have a voice in family law courts. There's always a myth that, the courts are for mothers or it's all about moms, but me being that person that gets in and gets behind my client, which is a lot of times the father, and saying like, you have a stake in this thing too, so let's fight for you to be present, you to have the things that you want, and as long as you have me behind you or a good attorney behind you, that is very much possible for you. And so that is the most rewarding thing for me, is seeing a father like feel like they've won. And winning custody is not always their win. It's just still being able to be present in their child's life. That's a win for them. And I absolutely love that.
That's fighting another myth that the dads don't want to show up or get involved.
Right.
So it is great to hear that you are actually working with these men who, they want to be around their kids. They want to fight for their rights when it comes to that.
They do. It's actually way more fathers out here that want to be there for their kids than not. And I feel like that myth is swarming around a little too much, but there are a lot of dads, majority of the dads, they want to be there and they're gonna fight for it.
I love to hear that. Now let's bust this other myth. So a lot of women can go into court thinking that they do have the upper hand. Like everything's going to fall in my lap. I'm going to get everything that I want. And you say that is, ma'am, not the case.
Not the case, especially that a lot of times people end up in these situations because mom and dad are fighting. Mom and dad aren't getting along. And a lot of times a mom kind of carries that into that co-parenting relationship and tries to keep the dad away from the child as a result of that. And it's like, if that's your goal, then you might as well not even show up. You might as well let them win by default, because that's not going to happen. The court is always going to prioritize the child and make sure that the child has a relationship with both mom and dad.
Are these mostly like custody agreements or that you're trying to come to during a divorce or other situations?
It could be a lot of situations. Like you said, one of them, it can be a divorce, or it could be a custody situation where mom and dad was never married and they are needing to get some type of custody order in place. Or it can even be like you already have a custody order and you're coming back to try to make some modifications to it. So it's not always a divorce.
Okay, and people can want to do this at any point, right? Okay.
Yes.
So even if y'all had an agreement when the child was born, but over time it's like, hey, we need something in writing.
Right.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to know more about what the courts are looking for and how people should prepare. So you guys go ahead and get your pens and your notepads, because we got a lot of tips coming up for you. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back with more Cherika Edwards after this. If you or someone you know is going through a custody agreement or trying to get there, we don't want it to become a custody battle. So we've got attorney Cherika Edwards here. She said, sometimes it does. Okay, a lot of times. Yeah. So you've already busted the myth that women are at an advantage. I just want to mention, because I guess it depends on the case. Like the judges are looking at each and every situation.
Yes, it definitely does depend on the case. And I tell people all the time, just because your friend got that, just because your cousin got it, it doesn't mean that you're going to get it, because literally every single case is different. And the courts are looking at the best interest of that particular child before the court. And so their needs are definitely different. The parents are different, and that's what helps the courts determine who's going to do what in the custody agreement.
What are we talking about when it comes to the needs of the child?
Yes. So here in Texas, the courts look at something a lot of people refer to as what they consider the Holly factors, right? And so those Holly factors it was a Texas case. But
okay.
Plainly stated, they're looking at, I always explain it to my clients, like, they're mostly trying to maintain the status quo. So what were y'all doing before you got here? Who did the child live with before you got here?
Okay.
Who was taking the kid to the medical and dental appointments before you got here? What parent was doing what? And that is mainly what the courts look to when they're kind of determining who's going to take custody, who's going to pay child support.
Okay. So are they also considering if the child is in private school or daycare and all of that?
All those things. And that's why it's a good point, because they're looking at that child. So is that child in private school, right? Who's been paying the tuition? Who's been calling up to the school trying to get the child put out of that private school, because they don't want to pay their half anymore. It is very intricate.
Yeah, like you're talking about bad behavior, and although in my mind I would think that it can make things go better if y'all are communicating effectively.
Right.
However, that is something else that the courts will consider when it comes to these custody cases?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you're looking at bad behavior, a lot of times your kid sees that, right? And so even something as simple as you talking to your girlfriend on the phone and your kid is in the backseat and you're talking about the other parent, that's bad behavior, because our kids are who we are, right?
Yeah.
And they're picking up the language, the things that you're saying about the other parent, right? They're picking up those things. And even something as simple as you're calling the school, telling the school what's going on, or they're not supposed to be picking them up, or don't let this person, like, you're getting the school involved in those parental things that are going on. And I've had situations where medical providers, schools, they're like, we don't even want to deal with these kids anymore because it's so toxic. And those are things that the courts are looking at, because you are making it hard for your child.
Yes.
And so why would the court give you custody of your child when you're bad behavior? That affects your kid.
It does. It does. My son said a curse word at school and let them know it wasn't for me. I just want to say. I'm like, okay, we know that. Okay.
And we subpoena them records. It's definitely the teacher's gonna be the one to tell the school. Didn't learn it from mama.
Didn't get it from me. Okay, so you brought up the records.
Yeah.
Like, all these things we can store in our minds and we can tell our friends about, but you actually need documentation.
Oh, absolutely. And documentation looks different in a lot of ways in cases. Documentation could be actual paperwork, but documentation could be like in your situation. I'm subpoenaing a teacher and a principal to come talk about what their perspective is, what they're seeing, because that's documentation too. That you have to come with the documentation if you get to court.
Okay.
Right? Because you and your attorney gonna make you look like the best person in the world, and so is the other attorney. But that third party documentation could be what wins the judge over. In some of the cases I've been in, they've had the little league coaches there to testify.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen this person before. I've
Ooh.
never seen, I didn't even know that was, I didn't know he had a mama. I didn't know he had a daddy.
Golly. Okay,
Right?
that is really helpful because that's really giving the inside information with the people who deal with the child on a regular
daily basis.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. So if you guys follow me on Instagram at Chelsea Fox 26, or you are subscribed to our YouTube, you know that we go live every week. So during this live, we received a question. Somebody posed this question about if someone is paying child support, should they be able to put the child on their taxes?
Unfortunately,
I mean, I have my own opinions about this, but it just goes.
You know, depending on what side of the coin you're on, you're gonna have your own opinions. But plainly stated, Texas is a federal thing, right?
Okay.
It's not even state courts. When we go to family courts, we're in state courts. Taxes are federal. And the federal law says that whomever the child lives with the majority of the time, like how many nights they spend, that's who gets to claim the child. It's not even about the dollars and cents, right?
Yes.
And so this has been a hot topic in a lot of cases where parents are bringing this up and they're wanting to alternate the years just to be able to offset. And so you're able to do that. You're able to agree to offset. But if there's no agreement, the court is going to say that is federal, and we're just going to leave it to federal to decide. And so if you're paying child support, unfortunately, you don't get to claim the child if you're on just a weekend, every other weekend type visitation schedule.
Yes. Now, I've heard of some cases where someone is paying astronomical amounts of child support. But I just feel like in most cases, the child support, maybe this is just my world.
Okay.
The child support is not covering all of the expenses of raising a child.
Ooh,
I'm just saying. Y'all don't get mad at me, but I'm just.
That's a sticky one, right?
Okay.
And that's what I love about, I think a lot of people love about me. I'm the realest it's gonna get. Okay, so when my clients come in, I tell them straight up, you in here complaining about XYZ and you only paying $200 a month in child support. Girl, please buy the shoes. Help with the school supplies this year. Please.
Okay. Oh, we're going to have you come back to chat about this some more. Is there anything else you want to leave the folks with, though, just that they should keep in mind when it comes to these cases?
I think that the biggest thing is it's very important to document your journey with the other parent. But the biggest things that I want to say, not to create fear for anybody, but simply that if you are with someone and you share a child with them and you are not married, I would highly encourage you to get a custody order in place currently now. We kind of talked about it today about how like you may have been doing something and it's been working and then things change. And unfortunately is where I get a lot of my clients when the things have changed and things are no longer happy and you have to start from square one. And that's very, very hard, especially in a place like Harris County. And so I would just really, really encourage everybody, get a custody order if you're already doing something. Get that written up, get it signed by a judge so that you can have something enforceable in the event that things go sour and so that you are not without your child. That's my biggest number one takeaway.
There we go. There you go. All the moms and the dads are
all
listening.
The moms and the dads.
Thank you so much for giving
welcome.
Such great information today. You guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back after this. He says leadership isn't born in the boardroom. It actually starts at home. So here to pass on some of those leadership skills, we got Dr. Ike, who is a chief medical officer and an author. You've got a couple of books out. You got Triangle of Leadership.
Yes.
And now you have a children's book as well.
Yes. Called Father Zuri.
Yes.
It's on Amazon.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. And you are a single dad.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Single present dad.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Underline the present.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your career because
Okay.
you've been, is it 17 years?
In pharma.
Ew.
And 4 years in practice before that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're definitely qualified to talk about leadership when it comes to that.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And then being a single dad, that puts a new perspective on it because with all these accomplishments, a lot of times we can think like, oh yeah, he of course he can achieve all of these things because he doesn't have a child depending on him.
Yeah.
But here you are. Can you tell me a little bit about the family relationship?
All right. Well, first I want to tell you the story about how the children's book came. So
Okay, yes.
I wrote the Triangle of Leadership. I was proud when I first got the copy. I showed it to my daughter. Hey, look at your dad is an author. I wrote a book.
Nice.
She picked up the book. She flipped the pages. She was like, there's no pictures. It's all words. It's all words.
Yeah.
So I was like, So a bell came in my head. Maybe I make a children's book version of it that has more pictures, more colors, and less words. And so that's how the book came about. So
I love it.
So the children's book is a children's version of the big book. And it's called Follow Zuri. Zuri is the name of my daughter.
Nice.
And it's just my way of teaching her the lessons I've learned in leadership throughout my career.
Don't you love how your own kids will humble you?
Exactly.
So like they're like, yeah, that's cool and all, but you're not quite doing enough.
Exactly. And it gets worse. When I made the book, the cover had a girl, cartoon girl, things like that. She looked at it. She was like, that's not me. That doesn't look like me. So I had to go back to the illustrator and get an actual picture of her to put in the book. So
you had to get it right for
the
Zuri.
kids, yeah.
Yes. And your daughter's 6 years old.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
What does a day in the life look like for you as a single dad?
So it varies between whether it's a summertime or during the school year. Summertime can be exhausting. You have to take her tennis lessons, swimming lessons, play dates.
Yes.
So it's a lot of work. It's a full-time job on its own. So I definitely can relate and empathize with single moms for sure. It's not an easy job.
How are you able to manage your career as well, especially when you have those long days where you have to take care of some things with work?
It's about clarity and focus, I would say. I got to be clear about what my priorities are. And for sure, family comes first, my daughter comes first, career comes second. And then when it comes to the professional life, the most important thing is not saying yes to everything. You have to prioritize what's important to you, what's important to the company, and prioritizing the top 3 things that you can be great at and learning to say no. So those have been the key.
Great point. Like we can never use too many reminders about being able to say no to things and because our families do come first.
Exactly.
We want to make sure that they are well taken care of because that's who we're doing it for.
Exactly.
So what is a lesson that you've learned as a leader that you've also been able to carry at home with your daughter?
What I learned, leadership is not a title. Like you have to live in a way that people want to follow you, which includes your kids. I always thought as a parent, to be a good parent, you have to tell your kids what to do or show them what to do. They really learn by watching you. They learn more from your actions and what you're doing than what you're telling them. And so I try to practice the same thing at work. Live what you want people to do.
And you were born in Nigeria.
Yes, I was.
So you may have been raised with a different concept of
You're
parenting.
You're right. The strict. Definitely got whooped, and very strict. But I'm very grateful to my parents, my family. They taught me the value of education. That's why I'm where I am. And they taught me to be ambitious and to know that I can accomplish anything that I put my mind to. So I'm very grateful to my parents for helping, being good leaders to me, and I'm trying to pass that on to my daughter.
Yes. And with all of your accolades, is there more pressure on you to instill leadership in her? And how do you go about that?
Well, you have to be very careful about putting too much pressure on the kid. And she's only 6, so
it can't be too much.
Like my thing is just try to make learning fun for her. And giving her some structure and discipline around the home, and hoping that she picks up on the positive and give credit to her mom. She's more of the disciplinarian. I'm more of the motivator and coach and things like that.
Okay.
So there's a carrot and a stick in the way we raise her. So, but it's all about structure and exposure. That's what we do.
It sounds like you have a good balance as well.
We try.
What do you hope people take away from Triangle of Leadership and Follow Zuri?
Yeah. Well, the subtitle tells it all. It's all about how to attract people, how to move people, and how to scale people. So to me, the book might as well have been called like The Secret to Success.
Okay.
And what I've learned in my career is, first you have to be an expert at something. You got to be really good at something for people to want to follow you. Then you have to learn to communicate your value or talk to people or relate to people. When you do that, people are also going to want to follow you. And then the final piece, which is about leverage or scale, is trying to figure a way to solve problems at a massive scale using leverage. Like media is a form of leverage.
Yeah.
TV media, social media. If no one's hearing your message, you're not really impacting people at scale. So if you can combine those three, I think that's the way to become a leader or how to become successful. And I talk about it in the book.
Yes, and I love that you have the children's version so that we can
yes.
build some future leaders as well.
And if you don't like reading, you can just pick up the children's version and you can read it in 10 minutes and get the same message.
There you go. You get to enjoy all the pictures there.
Yes.
Well, tell your daughter thank you for motivating you to create that version as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Ike.
Thank you
You
for
guys,
having
we're going
me.
to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. It's my topic. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Chatting with Chelsea. Thank you, Dr. Ike, and thank you, Attorney Cherika Edwards. You guys got to go to our YouTube if you're not there already. Chatting with Chelsea. Keep up with us on social. Chelsea Fox 26 wardrobe provided by Trezor Cachet Boutique, and we'll see you on the next Chatting with Chelsea. Okay?